What is up, my ninjas? We are finally back. I am Strydent, and welcome to part 2 of my sit-down video from all the way back in the end of July, beginning of August. So there are things that you're going to see on here that were not in the first video, and actually there's a ton of shit that's on here now that was not on in the previous video. And then there's some stuff that you have seen, and I'm not going to go back over those things. But I wanted to start out talking about something that is a huge deal for me, because you know, if you've watched this channel, you know some of the drama I went through and why I no longer am endorsing Mezco products, you know. If I endorse a Mezco product, it'll probably be an old Mezco product, like back in the day when they did the Hellboy figures. But you won't see me endorse any new shit, because fuck that company, because they don't treat their people right. They don't treat their fans right. I mean, you have blind fanboys like you've kind of always had, but there's, just on a base level, we shouldn't be pre-ordering things and then waiting 3 and 4 years to get them. We should be getting updates during that time. If we have to wait that long, there should be more communication when it comes to changes that are being made on those figures. Like if you're making a change to the materials or something like that, you need to let us know so that we know what we're working with, and we can, we can plan accordingly. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be one of those things where it just happens and then you're just like, fuck, okay, I guess this is what it is right now. And since they didn't do that, and we waited all that time for Batman 89, and then we got the figure, and it was not good. It was completely hit or miss. Some people, it was a complete hit. For others, it was a complete and utter miss. I was one of those people, and therefore I refuse to give them my money in the future. With that being said, though, a company that I am 100% all about is McFarlane Toys. Not only in less time did they give us, he gave us so many Batman figures. One of my favorites is the Lee Bermejo Batman, which a picture should be popping up right here. But they also gave us the old, Keaton bats. Essentially, it's like the Dark Knight Returns of the costume-wise. It's the Dark Knight Returns of the Burton verse, even though Tim Burton doesn't 100% endorse it. He's not happy with it. And story-wise, I'm not really happy with it either. But the design is serviceable. If only they had shot him in the film the same way that Keaton was shot in the Burton movies. Like, he wasn't lit the same way, so that's why the suit looks weird. I remember when I was watching it, I couldn't put my finger on it, and I was like, you know what it is? It's the lighting. The lighting is all fucking off and strange, and it doesn't quite feel the same, and that's why. But not only did McFarlane do that, and it's a stellar figure, but this mad lad actually gave us the Batman 89 figure. I've been waiting for this guy, and if you notice, I have him lit similarly to how he was lit in those movies. Let's see if I can get more of that. Because sometimes my camera likes to focus on what's behind someone. So let's do this. Let's zoom in a little. There we go. Look at that. You see when the shadows are in the right place? His lips show right. The deep set eyes look right. I love it. Now, things that I have to say that I just didn't expect, but I guess, now we know this is how he's doing these figures, is the biggest one is the cloth cape. Normally, I would be the one doing the cloth cape. I was like, wow, cloth cape. But that's because this figure came with a full-size Batmobile. So for less money than what I paid for the Mezco Batman 89, I got a Batman 89 and a full-size fucking Batmobile. Like, what the fuck? And there's people complaining. You guys can complain. I know we got some quality. You know what I'm saying? But this guy, I mean, down to the fucking Jordans, they got all the details. Those 90s Jordans or 80s Jordans. I mean, it's not very much to complain about. There's people complaining about the fact that he doesn't have the neck and head being one thing. Now he can move his head for the first time since the old Kenner figures, because the Kenner figures could swivel, you know, which he couldn't do. You didn't complain then. The Toy Biz one as well. Swivel head then. You didn't complain then. I even heard this one dude, Soul Keever, I think his name is, tried to say that the Toy Biz one was better than the Kenner Dark Knight Collection one. And I'm like, are you fucking daft? But, you know, you guys didn't complain then, so shut up. You know what I mean? Shut up now and just marvel at what you got. Dude's extremely posable. And then the paint job. I mean, it's a simple paint job. You've got like a handful of paint apps. You've got the eyes, the mouth, and then gold right here. That's it. And it's continuous. And the gold, the figure is bigger than the NECA version. So, you know, essentially, we have a pretty perfect Batman figure, Keaton Bats figure, for those of us who don't want to shell out $100+ and not get the ideal Batman figure. I mean, not to say that that sculpt isn't beautiful, because the sculpt is wonderful on that figure. I mean, it really looks like Keaton. It's just, I don't want to spend that kind of money and have like a mediocre representation. You know what I mean? If I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want like the real deal. And that's why I would just buy the Hot Toys one. Or any number of third-party, you know, companies that make larger scale Batman figures. But anyway, I wanted to look at this figure real quick. So I've shown you what he looks like, so you can see the details on him. See the beautiful, accurate symbol. Same thing with the belts. Because I'm going to change his cape. I bought a custom cape, and I've been wanting to put that custom cape on him, because as nice as this cape is, it's not quite as nice as what I have on other figures. It's the same as this, but I want to do what I've done, and I'll show you what I did with a bunch of my other Batman figures. Okay, so now we're over here in one of my Batman, well, this is my Batman section. So that's the Bat family. You see I'm not going to lie, Mezco made the best Batman figures up until McFarlane started doing them. So, you know, it's my whole Batman section. I like the art of this poster, but, you know, I was really ashamed of the book. So, yeah, it's covered up. But I've got some other stuff, some Tony Daniel, my own stuff. This was a project from animation where I had to redesign Batman and stuff. Angel Medina. But anyway, the focus is these guys. Look at those capes. Look at those beautiful fucking capes. I want to find the black and gray Hush Batman so I can get rid of this Batman. I'm not a fan of this Batman at all. I love this one though. It's pretty nice. And I'm not even a fan of the blue and gray. And then my favorite Batman of all the McFarlane ones, this bad boy right here. And you see the cape. Multi-dimensional, very nice. It's got the scallops or the arms in all of the scallops, so you can pull off shit like this. Actually, all the capes that I have them in. These ones have them in all of the at all of the points, all the way to the arms in the front. You know, that run along the edge up here, which is important. Now, the one I got for Keaton, I wanted it to flow more, so I'm trying out one that only has them in around this arm, you know, the front portion of it, and then it has a couple of them. I think it has 4 of them, like 1, 2, or maybe it's 3 and 3, something like that. But anyway, that is what we got, and that's what we're working with. That is the competition when it comes to Keaton bats. So we'll see how that all works out. So I'm gonna go back and I'm going to apply the cape, and then I'll come back, show you what it looks like, and then we'll continue talking about all the rest of them. So stay tuned. So here is the before. This is him with the Batman from the Flash. That's who's in the background. So I wanted you to see him up close, see the cape, see the sculpt. You know, it looks nice. Everything works, but he doesn't quite look like the movie. But the little bit of, you know, that cape magic, we get the proper look with the cape going against the torso, the proper lines, the material. It looks like Keaton. And remember what I was saying, if you light him correctly, look at that. So now his cape has dimension to it. It has personality. It completes the look. He feels like the character more so than he did before. And now I'm extra geeked. I was already geeked, but I'm super geeked now. A big reoccurring theme I've had when it comes to Batman figures is that most companies, even when they use cloth capes, the capes just lack some of the personality that's in these custom capes. Now, as you can see, like I mentioned before, there's only 4 wires in here. They're not in every single scallop, so it is a little bit odd sometimes when you're setting up the cape to look like it's doing something, you know? But it works. They support each other pretty well. I think if I do get another one, I'll get it so that the arms connect to the top of the cape instead of the arms just sitting in the, you know, like the middle of the cape going down to the ends of the scallops. Here are the 3 best versions of this figure, or of this version of Batman. You've got the original Dark Knight Collection, Crime Stopper Batman, and you see the capes flow very similarly. It's crazy how much a cape can like bring a character to life, you know? This should be standard all the time, but I will say, I am pleased. Now, this 100% makes up for the bullshit that was the Mezco Batman 89. I mean, from the moment I opened this up, I was sitting there in my dining room, opened it up, put him next to the Batmobile, and I was just like, I almost can't believe that this was a thing. Look at that profile. It's more of a 3/4 view, but you know, look at that view. It's so good. The sculpt is there. I mean, I get it, people are weirded out by the lack of a neck, but it's a toy. Even a Dark Knight Collection neck can turn. So it's a little weird to make that a point of contention. When it's a toy, you need him to be able to move so you can sit him down in the back cave. I don't know why I'm burping and shit. Like, what the fuck? Drank 1 beer. Like, what is going on? Anyway, I don't know. This is one of those things where, as a consolation prize, it does all the things for me. You know, it could have been 2-seater, and that would have made it perfect. But as it is, I am pleased. That's all I have to say. I'm pleased. Now on with the rest of the video. One complaint about that cape is it's that soft pleather that tends to rip easily. So I'm going to have to be careful, or I need to resign myself to just, you know, accept the fact that I'm going to be buying another, cape sometime soon. So here's something that happened real quick before I get into all the other stuff. I was on AliExpress a couple months back, and I came across a figure I had been waiting to get for quite some time, and I just kept on like putting him off, and I can't really explain why I kept putting him off, but I finally got around to getting him, and I'm glad that I got him. and that is Celtic. I don't even understand why the name, but this was the big dude from Aliens vs. Predator, AVP. I didn't like the movie, but I enjoyed the parts with the young predators, you know, going on their hunt. Well, the two young ones with Scar. So now I have the whole squad, Elder included. This is going to be tricky because I've got so much shit on this space, and I got to do this on camera. But I want to have a picture of them all together. Don't make fun of me. My chopper fell, and you know how NECA likes to, whenever they do blades, they always do the fucking cheap ass plastic. Well, he fell, and one of his blades broke, so I customized it with a piece from a third-party transformer. So now my chopper has like a laser, you know, a heated laser blade, chopper blade on one of his choppers or his blades or whatever you want to call them. I think it looks cool. I mean, ultimately I will try to get another blade, you know, to rectify that, but for now that works. I'm not complaining. Zoom in just a little bit because I need that clarity. Come on, clarify. You can do it. Apparently I'm going to have to move back so you can see them a little bit better. But there you go. It's the whole squad. Celtic, Chopper, and Scar. And then over here I've got my the Elder from that one too. But yeah, I'm geeked about that because, you know, AVP, that's something, how many years ago was that? That was forever ago. And I'm finally getting this, you know, finally getting to this final puzzle piece. But I mean, collecting is like that sometimes, you know. You find something one time and then you realize, like, oh shit, everybody else and their mother is trying to get that thing. So you gotta wait until the time is perfect for you to finally complete the arc, you know? Okay, so now that that's out the way, let's talk about some other stuff. So, ODC hooked me up with the Blue Centurion when he came up for PowerCon. Fresh out the box, his leg was breaking. You know, the new factory and shit for Hasbro and the Lightning series has been shitty. So it's been producing some really crappy results on a lot of figures. But I was able to fix it. I was able to Dremel out some space in the leg. You can kind of see it if you look at where the legs are. You see where they are? And this one you can't pull down, but this one can still pull down a little. See that? But he's fixed. He can still do his thing. So I can have him hanging out with the Phantom Ranger, or I can use him as a bootleg Jan person, or, you know, Metal Heroes type dude to hang out with my Cops figures or something. You know, sky's the limit. So I'm pretty geeked about him. Because, you know, I did watch Turbo. It's amongst my least favorite of all the seasons. Not a fan. What else can we talk about? Black Series. So I got a bunch of Black Series stuff. So I got this version of Dr. Aphra. I always liked the design. I always liked the guys in like regular clothes. You know, seemingly regular clothes, I should say. She's pretty cool. And then I got Andor, and I forgot this chick's name. Val something. Val Sartha or something like that. I got her. This isn't the gun she comes with. She's the one that comes with the Space AK, you know. So I was like, hey, I'm giving her a laser gun. But I like these figures a lot. I usually buy those kinds of figures and use them as Rangers powered down, or Kamen Riders powered down or something. Or I make a custom somebody else out of their costume. Let's talk about this. This here is the bootleg Um, I'm not a One Piece fan, but I always thought Zoro was cool. So I can't remember what the brand was called, but Icon Heroes or some shit like that. I can't remember. But this is their Zoro figure, bootlegged. But for a bootleg, it don't look too bad. You know, all the articulation is almost here. This is a faux butterfly joint. It's not actually. You see how you can tell there's like a division right there. Like there's the chest and then or what's the word? Compound joint, chest, and then there's this. Well, this should be part of the butterfly joint that helps it move. The butterfly joint piece is up here. That's the only part they actually sculpted that does something. See? The rest of it doesn't move. That's it. So it's fake. So that's where they cut corners. And on some of the extra faces and stuff like that, he's missing. Like some of the paint is slightly off. If you look closely at his face, which we could do right here, you see the paint on his lips. It's kind of off. So I was like, oh, why did you fuck this up? You know, how did you fuck that up? But considering what I spent, I think I spent $20 on him or $25 shipped. So just to have, you know, another sword person in my sword and sandals section, and I can pose him pretty well. And he does come with the extra face with the mouth open, so you can put the third sword in his mouth. Yeah, I'll take it. I will take it. It's not bad. So yeah, I got him, and I got this around the time that the show actually was starting, and I had this. I had ordered this earlier in the year. It's just these things from wherever they're coming in China. It's not very clear on Amazon where he's coming from. It took forever. So, I don't know. But it's a pretty cool figure. I like it. I mean, I really wish that they had done all of this with soft goods. Just put wires where you need them so that you can pose stuff. That's what we're going to be doing. So anything I do with soft goods, anything that I'm in charge of, if I have the ability to make it a reality, I will make it a reality. Me and Landon talk about that stuff all the time, and it's like it has to be, you know? Has to be. There's no two ways about it. AFC Blinky. Android First Class Blinky. This is the original because Boss Fight, for some reason, they've been slow rolling on this fucking line. They've done a couple versions of Jenny. I think there's 3. A stealth version, an astral projection version, and then the standard one. I got the standard one. You know, it's weird. With things like this, characters like this, you'd think people like me would have grown up and become furries. But I'm not a furry. I don't really give a shit. I learned how to draw a lot of these characters, but I'm not a furry. But anyway, I loved Bucky O'Hare. I'm working on getting Bucky, and then I'm going to get the rest of the crew from the original. Don't you just love the fact that Deadeye is smoking? He always had like a blunt in his hand or a fucking stogie or something. You know, I love those characters, man. Like, look at this shit. Props to Boss Fight Studio for doing this. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? They got Deadeye getting lifted while he's fighting bad guys in space. Look at this shit. You smoked that spliff, Deadeye. Strictly high grade. Yeah, strictly high grade. Yeah, if you know, you know. Yeah, I love this guy. I love four-armed, multi-armed characters, as you can tell with Homeboy back here, with Rio, with a bunch of mechs that I have. Shit, I was just playing with this bad boy from back in the day. Are you ready for a blast from the past? I don't think you're ready. Are you ready? Bam! Look at that shit. Look at that. McFarlane, Toddy Mac for the win. Uncle Todd. Yeah, I just find that if they have more than one arm, or more than 2 arms. It's just there's a lot of possibilities with poses and like the situations you can put the opponents that they will be fighting against in. Around my birthday, he came. This is the Andrew Garfield SH Figure Arts Spider-Man, and it's a hell of a thing. Super posable. I watched like this one cat named Leo Legendary kept talking about enhancing his articulation. Like, what? What is wrong with some of you guys? Like, you spend almost $100 on something, then you turn around and want to cut on it. Like, just because. Like, everything is not Marvel Legends. You don't have to do that. But anyway, I love this figure. He looks really good. Poses like a dream. I have no issues. Hopefully I'm not too close, because I've noticed that that's something that sometimes happens in these videos when I'm at this angle right here. Sorry for the shaky cam, but yeah, he's a pretty bomb-ass figure, man. Look at that texture all throughout the costume. And again, the best on-screen Spider-Man suit to date. For me, you know, freaking web shooters in the right place, and they're not organic or some overly designed nonsense. Just awesome. The smooth eyes, the Felix the Cat-ish eyes. I mean, that's perfection. So yeah, loving that figure. Very happy to have him. He's so easy to play with, because like I was talking to Little Strydent about how the PS4 one is really difficult to pose, and like the tolerances are weird, and there's a lack of smoothness overall with how you pose that figure, and it kind of sucks because you don't want to overextend or force anything, because then you end up with broken joints, and I don't want to break something that I spent all that money on, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's move down here to these guys. These are from Planet Green Valley. Now, I had been waiting a very long time to get these guys. This guy's all robotic. I love it. There's a character in SWAT 2249 that has a similar kind of approach, design-wise. And here's his partner. I think this figure is called Zoe. Very posable. I love the gun attachments. Very Infinite Warfare. With the cool suppressor on the front, you know. You could even pretend that the chamber has been modified so that the guns are... The chamber is magnetic, so they're essentially miniature railguns. Look at this helmet, though. I got like this huge breadth of like just parts when I ordered just these two. They had like bags inside the container behind the blister that just had so much shit in there. I was like, damn, this is awesome. Like there's a masked head and an unmasked head for Zoe. Look at this. Hold on, let me get a pair of whatever you call these things, tweezers of some sort, so that I don't have to have my mangled ass nails in the way and my dry ass fingers. Look. That's the masked head, which is pretty cool, because then you could pretend that when she's like on a mission, she takes off her helmet and that's what's underneath. And then here is her unmasked head. Hey, clear up. Clear up. God damn it. God damn it. Shit. What the fuck, bruh? Come on, bruh. There we go. Look at that. It's pretty nice. So, Mr. Way, you're doing some good work, man. It's just you need to bring down these prices. These figures are like $50 a pop. Here's the alternative, alternate rifle, or one of them. I'll do it this way so you can see it. I thought I had it in a good angle. There we go. Why is this so difficult today? There we go. It's pretty nice. Some kind of Scar, AR, Bren, I don't know. You know me, I know I've seen a lot of weapons, I just don't remember which ones are which. When I got out of that kind of shit, I had no interest in revisiting any of it. And here's some web gear. I like that. That's the tan web gear. Then we have like extra scarves. That's one. Let me show you another one. There's so many. Number two. Here's number three. It's kind of bunched up more. This is more like what we get in the Joy Toy figures. Here's another one that's more like a bandana or a handkerchief that's over your mouth or something like that. Look at this shit. It's another one. And keep in mind, I'm gonna pile them up so you can see. I'm not just grabbing the same one over and over and showing them to you. They're all sitting right down here so you can see them. Here's another one that's skinnier, but it's all bunched up a little bit more so it can sit closer to your neck. Here is an extra belt. Keep in mind, these cats have on, they already have belts on, but then on top of the belts you have extra belts that are either different colors or have different gear on them. And all this came with, you know, so I give them props for actually giving you a lot of stuff. It's not like look. So those are the different color ones right here, the different web gear I just showed you. The two heads right here. Here's the gray web gear. I know, excuse me for having such a disjointed style of camera movement. This is off the cuff. We're not trying to make this extra pretty. This is just show and tell. So this is the extra, this is a belt, standard belt, web gear. Then we have, here's a pack that can connect to the belt in the back. It's pretty nice. Remember, it's all adding up, right? So it's all the web gears and the belts. Oh, look. Another scarf to go in the pile of scarves that are all like desert camo color. Oh, look. Gray scarves. Shit. Gray scarf. Put that over here with the other scarves. And oh, look. Here's another one. It's dope because it gives you a lot of options. Then we have an alternate helmet. This helmet can go on top of the head that has the balaclava on it. Balaclava. So this is the balaclava head. This is the helmet that you can put on top of it. I don't want to do that because it's a pain in the ass to get it off, but it's more like a Bubblegum Crisis style head. I don't know why the light is so weird in here. I got all these lights, and it's so dark in front of here. But anyway, you get it. So we put that with the other heads. Then we got a backpack, a pack, as Formbox 257 says. And we got a communications backpack with the camel pack on the back. And we got another of those it's probably a medical pack that goes on your belt. And then we have, oh, I showed you the gun already. We have shoulder pads. Got 2 of these. Go on the shoulders. And then we have 1 shin pad. Or, I'm sorry, forearm pad. I put one of them, like if you look at her, she's got one on her arm anyway. She doesn't have it on the other side. I like asymmetrical designs, so. But yeah, Planet Green Valley. They didn't make all my dreams come true for the price, because I was kind of expecting for them to be so expensive that, yo, this thing is going to change my life. But what it did was showing me the sheer number of things that you could package in here if you make 4-inch figures. It's keeping that flame alive that, you know, when I eventually go into doing 4-inch figures, the sheer amount of stuff, you know, the things I loved from Pursuit of Cobra and things that I want to do, because it'll probably be an offshoot of whatever lines I'm currently doing. So more than likely it would be a 4-inch version of SWAT. If you watched us, oh, I meant to tell you guys, I was on a channel, a podcast, Toy Dominations podcast with Landon, and our sculptor Luke. He showed up for the after hours portion of the podcast, because we stayed around for it was like a 4 or 5 hour thing. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we got to talk about stuff, and I got to show off some early concept art and some early models. Luke showed off some models. So, you know, things are underway. Let's see. Blue Beetle. Let's talk about Blue Beetle. I ended up getting that whole wave. I found the whole thing in the store. My son and wife picked up Carapax for me. Again, my homeboy, shout out to Luke. He sculpted the company he works for was involved in sculpting Carapax in the movie. So props to him. Dude does amazing work. The figure's really good. I'll throw this in here just because, you know, DCUC. Classic comic book Blue Beetle. The whole wave is actually pretty damn good. I'm surprised that, like, more people didn't talk about the movie as much. The movie was actually really good too. It was one of those, like, old school, semi-family kind of, you know, superhero flick. We don't get this stuff anymore, you know? We used to back in the day, but, like, over the years, these things have changed. So it's nice to see that done. And yeah, people complained about stereotypical, you know, Latino family shit, and it's like, you have to know a lot of Latino families to come to that conclusion. The movie was good. Figures are awesome. Now, the one gripe I have, I think a lot of people have this gripe too. Uncle Todd is starting to play games. So, in order for you to have the all of the things, right? So in order for you to have the wings, in order for you to have the sword from the badass scene in the trailer that was towards the end of the movie, for you to have the, you know, the blaster, you have to buy both figures. And then on top of that, in order to have all the emotive hands, you know, you have to buy both figures. I'm like, yo, that's kind of, that's some bullshit. You know, you want to have the Scarab, also comes with one of the other figures. You want to have the chakram things that he was shooting off on people. You got to buy both figures. And then the fucked up part is that the only thing that's different about those two figures is that one of them has a backpack that you can take off. That's the one that comes with the wings. And he comes with all the other stuff. I think he comes with the wings and the blaster. And the other one comes with the sword and the chakram. Oh, the wings, the blaster, and the hands all come with this one, and then this one comes with the sword and the chakram, and that's it. But everything else is interchangeable. So they both have, if you look closely, right? I'm going to try and show you on this one. I have him point at his arm so you can see what I'm talking about. If you look closely, right, where's my pointer? Right about here, you can see a division. That's what you pull off in order to pop this onto the peg. So this takes up, you can even see the shape of it. Fits right in there. You just take that off and it works, and it does the same. It's exactly the same on this one. Right there. Just pull that off. I'll show you. Pull it off, and then you just replace the arm with the blaster. And it's actually not a whole lot of like resistance. It stays on there snugly, but it doesn't really take a lot for you to get that thing off or to get it on. Ugh. And then look, once you have it on, look at how snugly that shit fits. It looks like it was sculpted that way. So props to Uncle Tom for that. Uncle Tom. Jesus, Uncle Todd. Holy shit, that's a whole different show right there, Uncle Tom. Ooh, we're not even, wow, sorry. The Uncle Tom. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's not a family show, but damn, it's not that kind of show. But yeah, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. Look at this. I was so geeked. My one gripe, I guess we could do it this way. One gripe is he doesn't hold the sword very well. You kind of have to be creative in how you pose the sword, but because of the emotive hands, which I had to get for this reason, when I saw that there was going to be extra hands that allow him to emote more, and the same goes for Ted Kord. Ted Kord is one of my favorite superheroes. He's always been. So part of my interest in the movie was the fact that the movie was going to give us, some kind of insight, some kind of history, some kind of story involving Ted Kord and the Scarab. They even mentioned Dan Garrett, which I didn't expect them to, but it was like, yeah, you can't really talk about the Scarab without talking about the first Blue Beetle. So, they kind of did me proud, I've been a Blue Beetle fan since I read Justice League International in what grade was I in? 6th grade? 7th grade? I thought that shit was hilarious, man. So, just like in the trailer, you can, or just like in the movie, I should say, not the trailer, but you can just be like, it actually looks cool, and then just throw the sword up on his shoulder. Again, he doesn't hold this thing the tightest, which sucks because, it's a sword. You want him to hold it with some kind of, you want him to hold the sword with some, I don't know, some agency, you know what I mean? You want him to hold it like, I know what I'm about to do. I know what to do with this, and you're about to find out what I know how to do with this. But let me pose him some more, and then I will move the camera. I'll probably take a picture and then put the picture up on the screen so you guys can see it, because, oof, this is a lot of expert posing in progress. You know me. You never have to worry, is the pose gonna look right? It's Strydent, man. You know who you're dealing with. You obviously do not know, or you do know, who you are fucking with. Now, if you're here, and you're sitting here patiently waiting, then you know. You know. I don't leave you with some whackness. So let me see if I can capture that in real time. Look at that shit. Look at how sexy that is. And he had a dope theme, too. Look at that. So yeah, I was all in. I like Jaime Reyes. And I like the fact that this version of Jaime could fight already. He didn't have to be trained. He wasn't like the typical kid, you know, comic relief that they do in like in Brave and the Bold. I like that he was a fully, like, once he knew what he had to do, he just did it. You know what I mean? Once he knew him and Kajida had to like start working together, it was exactly like the way the comic played out. You know, they went on a bunch of you know, hijinks, bunch of situations, and then they finally were like, fuck it, now our lives depend on it. We know our lives depend on it. Let's do what we got to do. And then, yeah, it's quality. And so, I dig the way these guys work, and the way that, the figures, of course, everything wants to fall down and act stupid now, but whatever. I dig the way the figures turned out. This body works really well for Mr. Cord. I'm hoping that they don't force us to get another version of this guy. I don't want to buy the same figure a bunch of times. I've been trying my best not to buy the figures that all use, you know, this body. It's a dope figure and all, but I want new sculpts. You know me, new sculpts all day long. So no reused parts for me. I don't play that shit, especially not with McFarlane after they've been doing so well for so long. You know what I mean? Like, I need them to give me some new shit. So the Blue Battle, the Blue Beetle wave is pretty dope. It kind of sucks, though, that, like, he didn't just do, like, why didn't he do a Zolo Marduena, you know, Jaime Reyes not in the costume, like in the blue tracksuit, so that we can have him, you know, essentially morphed and unmorphed, you know what I'm saying? Or do a version of Carapax with the cybernetic arm and leg, you know, like the prototype armor and not the final souped up armor. This figure here is a very good indication that if say McFarlane wanted to do Pacific Rim or Gundam or something like that, he could very well do it, and the figures would be amazing, because there are aspects of this figure that, like, when you look at them, you can't tell what this figure can do. Like, let me show you. Let me show you, man. For instance, and let's pull back so you can see. When you're looking at the arm like this, where's the joint? All the joints are really well hidden. But then when you see it bent, you realize the joint, let's zoom in so you can see that. Put everything on an angle. God, that's perfect. The joint is right there. See that? It's like right in there. Ugh. It's crazy, right? It's hidden so well, you can barely tell it's even there. And, like, the range of motion, that's another thing. Like, look at this. Because, believe me, I played with him. I played with him a lot. When I got him on my birthday. And, number one, he's huge. But, like, range of motion. Look at his arms at his sides. Arms can go up pretty high. Head can look down pretty well. Head can look up all the way. Torso can look at that. So if you want him to fly, look at that. Looking dead at whatever it is he's flying at. The legs. Look at this. Are you kidding me? And I know robots typically have the ability to do that kind of stuff because robots kind of play by their own rules, but I mean, you can really like pose this guy. They needed effects though. That would have really put him over the top as far as or put him over. I don't know why I just said that. I hear it so much. I think that's why it popped into my head. Over the top. That would have put him over more. So say he got like, you'll see when they fight in the movie, they get hit hard and they're sliding all over the place and stuff and like, you know. So you could pose him, and the poses look pretty damn official. I mean, look at that. Actually, let me do it this way so you get more light. Look at that. Looks good, right? It's fucking dope. So, yeah, I'm impressed with this figure. I'm impressed with McFarlane. I know a lot of people still hate on him. McFarlane is doing the Lord's work, in my opinion. You guys think it's whack. A lot of you do. There are some things to complain about because I see some annoying trends in how McFarlane is handling things now, where he's doing like, let's re-release Batman in, you know, black and white. Like, who the fuck asked for that? Let's Jokerize it, you know? Fuck that shit. Nobody asked you for that. So stop it, you know? Stop it. Get some help. I want more new characters. That's always been my thing. Give me new stuff. Stop giving me, you know, the same shit I already own. Or, you know, you can look at it one of two ways. It's either you're giving us the hardcore fans, you're giving us shit we already own with a new paint job again. And it's kind of funny to hear people make that complaint and that comment when talking about McFarlane now, and he's only had the line for what, the past 5 or 6 years, something like that, 7 years maybe. Meanwhile, for like the past 20 years or 15 years, you've been dealing with this from Marvel Legends and you don't say shit. So, you know, we got a problem, some cognitive dissonance of some sort that's, you know, taking place, and people aren't realizing that they're not really, they're not preaching to the right choir, you know? You're not saying what you need to say to the right audience so that the changes that you want actually get made. I guess while we're talking about McFarlane, I only have one other McFarlane toy to talk about, right? I think so, because I don't think I got, or did I? Let's see. I think that's it. Right? Yeah, that's the McFarlane figures that I got recently. So we'll talk about him. I got him actually a few days ago. My car died. We went to the in-laws. My in-laws are lending me their car. And while we were up at their side of town, they're part of the colder part of town, we stopped at a Target, and here's Abyss. And I never read any of the comics that Abyss shows up in. And I don't know too much about him, but I'm kind of annoyed with the trend of these villains that look like new age villains that look like old Batman villains. Like, he just looks like Phantasm 2.0, you know? So in my universe, Phantasm 2.0, or Phantasm, since we never had like a 6-inch version of the Phantasm. So I like this design a lot, and I'm gonna get him close so that we can look at him. And then, you know, I'm trying to put the lights aiming in a way so that we get better coverage. Because if I put my hand behind him, if we zoom in, and my hand is behind him, that's too much. You'll see him clearer. But he's a pretty dope figure. Pretty dope looking design. It reminds me of Ghostmaker. It reminds me of like Talon, and reminds me of like a bunch of people, you know. But it's a pretty dope figure, pretty cool design. Again, you know, you see shades of so many characters in the modern Batman stories. Again, with the commas, I get it, they're sides, but you can take these apart and you end up with Duke Thomas's weapons all over again. And I'm like, you guys got to be more creative. Like, come on. Ooh, Death, because he's not the first, and he probably won't be the last Grim Reaper inspired Batman character, because they take that edgelord shit way too seriously. But I mean, you know, it's a cool visual. Looking like a Guilty Gear character with a Purge helmet on. But, you know, I like him. He definitely will. We will have fun. My son and I were coming up with fight situations between him and Batman on the ride home. So that was fun. What next? I kind of want to get all the Hasbro shit out of the way. Because you know me, I'm not a Hasbro person like that. But there's a couple lines from Hasbro that I really pay attention to. So, my wife, my beautiful, 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 goofy, nerdy wife, she was at Ollie's. And apparently, the Ollies in our area finally started getting shit. So she got the, you know, the scene, the King Starscream scene. She got that. It was $14. So it's got the cape and all the parts. A lot of them stick onto the back. And then, what doesn't stick onto the back, you can fit like the shoulder pads and the crown fit all up in there in the bottom. Pretty ingenious, right? But I figure, you know, I'm going to be getting the Nemesis at some point. I don't care what the Transformers fandom says about which Titans are the best Titans. I'm like, fuck you guys. You guys think with a hive mind. Think for yourself. The fact that we're even getting a Nemesis at all is just amazing, you know? So for me, I'm geeked. So to have this throne kind of works, because it's like the control, you know, the captain's chair from the inside of the Nemesis, and it can serve as a throne. Also, I remember a while back, I had just gotten all of the Seekers from the classics. And to have this, technically it's like a recolored Earthrise. It could just be the Earthrise Starscream. I don't know, because I don't have the Earthrise Starscream. I don't even remember the what the colors were, but I have a feeling they weren't this bright. I know these are more what they looked like in the cartoon. But I like this. I mean, look at how clean this shit is. And that's not to take anything away from the Classics version. The Classics version was really good, but this is on point, you know? So, and his, when he's transformed in robot mode, I guess I have to do that, right? So give me a sec. I mean, just look at this shit, man. Like, this is fucking crazy. Like, just the fact that this exists is nuts. Like, you know me, I'm a mark for the movie. The 80s movie. And the fact that we can recreate this, I mean, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? I mean, look. Wait, let's zoom in properly. Look at that shit. It's pretty nice, you know? It's pretty nice. I am not going to nitpick the shit out of this. Like, well, you know I don't do that to begin with. But, like, I mean, yeah, this is one of those pleasant surprises. And for $15, like, shit, you complain all you want. I'm happy for this. This is the way. This is the way. This is the fucking way. You know, don't break the bank. Just get the things you like and enjoy them. You know, play with them, enjoy them. If you want to get your nostalgia on, I'll get my nostalgia on, because I didn't have Transformer figures at the time that the movie came out, and I wanted them badly. But like where I lived, and we were here when that movie came out. I was in kindergarten here in Columbus, Ohio, and for whatever reason, you just couldn't find Transformers figures. I mean, they were in the stores, but the characters I wanted were so popular, it was impossible. So to finally have Starscream, like I have a couple Starscreams now, a couple styles of Starscream too. I'm over the moon with this shit. So yeah, that was from Ollie's, and I'm loving it. And let's move on. All right, so we are at the tail end of this video. It's taken me a very long time to get here. I know if you guys are looking at the background, you would see differences. I mean, look at the pose he's in. Look at these guys. Look at her. All of this. A lot changed from that time, and I was going to get to very specific people. I'm not going to do everybody on here, but I am going to say a few things about a bunch of them really quickly. So, let's start with the NECA, Eastman and Laird, I guess Peter Laird style TMNT. I mean, they're not really. I mean, who are they? They're the, what is it, Ron Friedman is his name? No, Ron Friedman is G.I. Joe. What is the name of the guy whose style this really is? They're Jim Lawson style. That's who they look like. I mean, there's a bit of the Eastman and Laird kind of flair to them because their body types and their anatomy is a little bit more consistent. But this is Jim Lawson. This is not Eastman and Laird. Contrary to what all these YouTubers say because they didn't read the books, which, is one of my biggest pet peeves about a lot of the reviews that you see on YouTube when it comes to comics and things like that and comic related stuff. You hear popular opinion, but you don't hear the facts. Jim Lawson drew the Turtles like this. Eastman and Laird drew a version of this, but their Donatello had the strap, the single strap, while their Leo had the double strap. And they had like a slightly more, I don't know how to put it, other than just more consistent anatomy. Especially when Eastman and Laird were doing those covers that you saw on the covers of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle magazine. They kind of had this kind of stature, but they had better, the anatomy was more realistic. They were big and chunky and whatnot. These faces are very reminiscent of the Eastman and Laird original covers. We all remember that the red headband turtles were the ones that showed up on the Nintendo games, especially the Manhattan Project one with them fighting the Triceratons and stuff. It's one of my favorites. But yeah, these guys are cool looking, but I feel like there's some problems with this set. The first big problem that I have with this set is the weapons. The weapons are extremely fragile. Extremely fragile. I had to put glue on one of these because it was starting to bend quickly. I mean, listen to that. It's super brittle. It's not like the DCUC stuff where this is bendable. You see what I'm doing here? If I do that with this, it would definitely break. I'm sick of this with NECA. It frustrates the shit out of me. Make Ninja Turtle weapons that can stand up to the test of time. When you look at the Mattel stuff, like the Motu swords back here, they're made of a strong plastic, like an ABS that's a little bit more flexible. So it's like, I guess if you mix a healthy amount of ABS with PVC, you end up with that mixture, and then they don't break. You know what I mean? They can hold up to play. I have a similar problem with the Loyal Subjects Leonardo swords, but I actually was able to fix that problem with those swords. I don't know if I can fix that with Leo swords here, because the sheath can only receive these blades. So the blades that I would have to replace them with would have to be of similar size. But I feel like we waited so long to get these, and they're only meh. I heard a lot of people who don't really play with figures. They don't really experience them. They just have them representing whatever the time period is on their shelf, they're just happy to have that look. They're happy to have them displayed. I have every single version of the Turtles, at least all the ones that I feel count. I don't have the Rise ones because Rise sucks. The look sucks. The animation is amazing. The stories, wah, 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 except for the movie. The movie is amazing. I don't have the 2006 Turtles because while I loved that movie, the toys were not that great. And they're really they're like a weird price range and stuff like that. I was like, no, I'm not bothering with them. If I ever find all of them for a good price, then maybe, but I'm not going to. But barring that, I have every other important version, starting from the original toys from the 80s, the NECA, Eastman and Laird Ninja Turtles, the actual ones that are stubby, with the red headbands. Then I have the, 2004 ones. Then I have the 2010 versions. Then I have the NECA Toon Turtles. I have the movie figures from the early 90s. And then we have the Super 7 versions, which I love. I love the Super 7 ones more than these because the interactivity is there. Like, you can play with them and they don't feel like they're going to break. These guys feel so brittle. Their hands don't plug in as well as they should. They don't hold their weapons very well. Donatello is actually the one that holds his weapons the best. Raphael, if you put him in between his fingers, he holds them really well. Michelangelo, you have to use similar hands like this. There's a lot of things they didn't do right with this whole set. Instead of each of them coming, the set was like $150 or something like that. And yet all of the figures didn't come with their own sets of hands, open hands, holding things hands with a, semi-open grip, holding things hands with a tight closed grip, or character specific emoting hands. None of that shit. Instead, there's a couple hands you have to share within, across all of them. So there's certain things, I can't get all of them. Like if I wanted them all to be, kind of doing the Buddhist type thing or the little, pray hand type deal. I can't do that with everybody all at the same time because I think I only have one pair of those hands. And it's not that I didn't get what was offered. It's that they didn't offer much. Almost all the other versions of the Turtles that I mentioned came with a ton of weapons. Even the original Playmates ones, they came with you remember the tree, the weapons tree with a ton of weapons on it. And that was really cool because with that weapons tree, you had, shuriken and you had, commas and fist daggers and climbing claws and dirks and, you had extra stuff. Whereas these guys they came with a couple dirks. No, a couple shuriken, two different kinds. They had the buzzsaw ones and then they had the stars. And then they have their weapons, and then they have a couple hands, and then they have extra bandanas. They have these draped ones, and then they have these windswept ones, like what you see on Michelangelo, and that's it. And I'm just like, yo, for $150, I think it was $150 or $125, when I bought all the Super 7 Turtles for about $100. And they come with like 10 times the amount of stuff. And they each come with their own set of hands. They have extra heads. Like, for what you're paying, this is not the ultimate, thing that you should be getting. It's weird, And then, when I move on to my next group of turtles that I'm going to talk about, because I have two in this particular sit down to talk about, you'll see a big difference because I'll show you the sheer amount of stuff that I got with this set. And it just blows them out of the water. Keen-eyed viewers can already see what I'm about to talk about. But I was really geeked about this set. Then I got them and they stayed here because I couldn't really do too much with them. And there's issues with their double jointed knees where even after you heat them, you can't utilize the full double joint. they're just blocky, and I mean they look great, don't get me wrong, but something is missing that is even when you compare them to the NECA Toon Turtles, there's just something missing. The Toon Turtles, all the versions of the Toon Turtles, the articulation is functional. It's completely functional. You don't see points that you can't use, or that don't really give you very much range. They have the points, and the points give you range, and you just can go with it. Whereas here, there's points that you just can't use. They have a swivel in their waist. The turtles should not have a swivel in their waist because they have a shell. So they're not twisting the way a human would twist because the shell is too big. The only time you get that is when the shell is super small and their body is bigger. If you screw with the proportions, then you can pull that off. It doesn't really make sense. Or if you make the shell sit in the back, and they kind of did that, where the shell kind of sits off the back, and then you can have space for the waist to swivel behind the front shell and the back shell. But it's not 100%. You have to kind of force it. And now if I paid $125 for this, why would I force a joint with, the potential to break that thing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to rip the nice plastic that they have that's holding them, in the front versus the back. The back shell is hard. I don't know if you can hear this, but it's very hard. Whereas the front shell is a little bit softer. You hear that? The deeper sound is signifying it's a solid piece of this more plasticky, rubbery kind of, plastic or material. I don't know, man. I don't know. Somehow they're great representations. They will look beautiful on your shelf. But as far as toys that elicit that feeling and that you want to play with, it will elicit the nostalgia for the people who are addicted to nostalgia. But for those of us who actually play with our toys and actually, like, the nostalgia is deeper than just seeing the thing, we're not going to be satisfied. So, I don't know. If you don't see these, if you never got these, don't feel too bad. I would recommend getting the Super 7 ones if you can get them on sale. As their prices for the Super 7 ones go up and down, up and down, up and down. You don't want to really break the bank for them. But if you can get them cheap, get them. And then you have my next focus, my next topic. Now let's talk about the Loyal Subjects, Santo Luco style, IDW, TMNT figures. These guys just dropped a couple months ago. These were the figures I had mentioned a long time ago, many months, that if I would really be happy if a company would stop focusing on Mirage and the TV stuff and give us comic book related turtles. These were the style of turtles that were featured in the video game Mutants in Manhattan, and then they were mostly the IDW style turtles. Some version of this with the wraps and the forearm guards, and sometimes they have guards on the back of their hands. Sometimes they have shin wraps, or sometimes they have shin guards. It depends, but they don't all have knee pads. Only Mike and Don do. And I love the overall aesthetic. These guys, the figures were 22 or 24 a pop. So you don't even break $100 if you get all of them. And then you get all of this. This whole entire bag is full of all their gear. They have alternate weapons, alternate hands, alternate heads. They have the best action stickers. They have character cards. I mean, it's so much shit in here. I mean, look at this. Alternate weapons. They have like weapons that are, different pieces are deployed. Like these are the nunchucks with the comma piece deployed because, Michelangelo always used some form of the chain attached weapons or the rope weapons. This being a version of the Manriki Gasari. So one end is a nunchaku and the other side is a kama. So they're kind of hearkening back to that. You have yelling heads, you have emotive hands, you have alternate grip hands, you have fists. I mean, Leo even has, I don't know if you can see that piece right here. It's a like a wind effect. Raph has a strap that you can put shuriken in. It's just, there's so much stuff. Don has this extra like power glove thing going on right here. Like there's so much shit. And I'm sure some of you see these alternate Shredder heads because I also picked up Shredder. So you've got an Orokusaki unmasked screaming head. Let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, you see it? Oh, I can't breathe. Since he's in a plastic bag, you know. But you get so much. And it was like what? $80, $90 for all of them. You know what I mean? Almost $100, but not quite. Definitely not 150, and you got so much stuff. Now there are some drawbacks. Some of the articulation is not perfect. Some of it is very kind of surface level, like you can do things, but like for instance, their feet, they have this the pivot, but you can't really push them forward to get them to stand perfectly, and pointing them is kind of difficult. That's about as far as they go when you want to point their foot. So if you want to get them jumping with the one, bent leg and the one straight leg, it may not look perfect, but you can get it. You can get it. You can definitely get them to do it, but it's going to look a little bit weird depending on what angle you want to show it from. Like if you're showing it from the side, it's not going to look like very much, But when you're looking at the way they pose, I mean, these guys pose pretty well. I mean, and look at the face sculpt. That Mike looks like he's having all kinds of fun. Yoink. He's winking at you like, boot, boot. Now, I did have to do some customization on Leo because he was not perfect. And I'm going to show you all the pieces. Essentially, the sheaths that they gave him, the crossed sheaths that they gave him, were essentially only glued at one point, right? They were glued on one sword against his shell. So if you press down on this one at any point, you break the seal right here. So I replaced it with new sheaths. I did a whole bunch of magic, and I'm gonna put it up on here. I essentially removed the original sheaths because I did it by accident. I was holding him and I squeezed a little too hard by accident, and pressing against his sword against the shell, it bent the connection. So I just ripped it all off, and I was like, fuck that. I smoothed down or sanded down the back of the shell where the glue used to be, and then I dremeled or drilled a hole about the same size as the Feudal Series, what were they called? Articulated Icons Ninja sheaths work. And I attached the double sheath holder in there, glued it in there, and then put two sheaths with the smaller swords. And then, he can hold those smaller swords perfectly, so it works. And one thing I hated about the original swords was, even though they look nice, they're very flimsy. These were just as flimsy. You hear that? And you can see it as I'm playing with it. They're giving a little bit at the hilt, which freaking blows, or the guard. This one I had to re-glue. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and zoom in on it. I had to re-glue. If you look closely, you can see the Gorilla Glue. I put Gorilla Glue on it just to reinforce it and to make sure it doesn't bend, because at one point when I was trying to put this thing in the sheath, it wasn't going in all the way, and when I pushed it, it was like whoop, and it bent. And I'm just like, are you serious? And it was already about to break, so I was like, fuck it, I need to reinforce this. So right now, I have this sheath with blades that I'm going to just keep for something else. I don't know. I'll put them when I make a sewer. Well, I have a sewer display. Maybe I'll hang them up, on the wall. Cool thing about these swords is that there's that little piece at the top of the hilt or the top of the guard that actually can fit into. You see it sitting there in the sheath, fits in, and if you push it down, it sticks in tight. So it won't come out. You have to actually pull it a little more. This one's real tight. And you see that. So you kind of get that more traditional feel with them versus the articulated icon ninja ones that I used that I don't think they have the same thing going on. I could be wrong. Let's take one out. But I love the fact that now I can take, oh yeah, they do too. They have it just smaller. That gold piece. So good job, Foosh. Push them in. I mean, it doesn't do the exact same thing. I have a piece of paper in there or a piece of glue. Yeah, it's a piece of stick tack in there that's filling up the inside so that it makes it, have a little bit of friction to keep the sword in there once you get the sword in there. But, for the most part, there's ways to achieve the same feel, I get the blades in there and now it's in there and it feels good. It's very secure. It's not coming loose. See? So it's dope. Leo can take the swords out, or you can take his sheath out. You can have the sheaths in there however you need. They're out of the way. When you're looking at his silhouette, you still see the swords over his shoulder. He just looks really good. And look at how determined this face is. This is a dream come true for me because I legit love Santolouco's art. And Santolouco follows me on Instagram, so I'm really happy. I did a couple Ninja Turtle sketches for patrons or people that, have bought my comics and came to see me at a couple of the small press conventions. And I was geeked to see that people dug my work, and then I posted them. There's some of the first posts that I made on Instagram, and Santolouco popped up in there, and I was like, yo, you got to be kidding me. Because for those of you who don't know, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He eclipses Eastman and Laird with their own creation. He's better than Lawson. He's better than just about everybody I've ever seen draw the turtles. His turtles look like teenagers. They look individual. I mean, look at Donatello's body type. This is also smashing that myth that you've heard from the Marvel Legends team so many times about the different like giving characters individual sculpts. You always hear all this shit about it's so much more expensive, it's blah, it's the same price. You just can't reuse the parts. That's all. And so if you're going to make multiple versions of this character, you may as well give them their own sculpt, and then, you could reuse the sculpt for a variation of that character. But look at Leo and look at Don. Don is skinny and tall, and Leo is like medium sized. Look at that. Don has a skinnier body. He's got a wider body. Mike even has a smaller body than that. They all have their individual proportions. Look at Don's skinny legs and look at Leo's thicker legs. And then they reuse the feet and they reuse some of the hands, but their heads are different shapes and everything. Like, there's so much here that is a master class for what you could do that other companies refuse to do. And it makes you wonder, if the best action line can do it, why can't other companies do it? Why do they constantly make up stuff, reasons for why they can't do things that you see small companies pull off? And don't come in here and say, oh, it's a small company, they can... No, it's not about that. It's about having the vision to shake things up and do things differently from how the status quo has been done, you know, whatever the status quo has been for however long, and, you know, kind of shake it up so that you can potentially see success where people said, you know, you wouldn't. Because it's strange to me that we're still dealing with the same nonsense, you know, in 2023, where you have these visionless people. You know, you buy all these toys, but you don't have any vision. And you come up with excuses for the corporations so that they can just completely shuck their responsibility to innovate and offer you better products for the money. They keep raising the prices, but they keep giving you less of a product, you know, less quality products. And you're willing to pay this, but you're not willing to demand that they give you more innovative products. Like, that doesn't make any sense. If the price is going to go up, I want more innovative stuff. I want different stuff. I want quality. And look at this. Look at him. He's twice the size of everybody else. Masterclass, man. Masterclass. It's just like, this is by far the best thing to come out of the Best Action brand. And, you know, I'm just happy that it happened to be Ninja Turtles. And I'm happy I was able to get them. I pre-ordered them as soon as Santo Luco said this was going to be a thing. I was waiting for them. And then I pre-ordered them. Post haste. Donatello even comes with this cool visor or goggles set. And I love it. You can take it off too. It's not stuck to his head. It's just an accessory. So it's all things to help make him you know, stand out. Oh, also, in the series, he ended up with, I think it's Metalhead's shell, because his shell got cracked open by Bebop and Rocksteady. I think it was Bebop. And so he almost died. So with him almost dying, they encased his shell in this metal shell to protect him. Isn't that fucking dope? So everybody else has a traditional, you know, Ninja Turtle shell, except Donatello. Donatello has essentially a cybernetic shell, if you want to go that route. And it's fucking dope. It's just like one of those things where story-wise, I was like, you know, I was so invested. So to see the figure go that route too just makes me happy. I mean, look at that shit. That's phenomenal, man. Like, no two ways about it, man. They did the damn thing. And then on top of that, let's move on to their adversary, the Shredder. Now, the Shredder, I was kind of like on the fence with whether or not I was going to get him, because I didn't like the way he seemed to look in all the videos I had seen. And in many of the videos, Shredder looked kind of weird. And then I got him, and I posed him up, and I was like, you know, this does not look half bad. The only thing I hated was this heavy-ass rubber cape. Get this shit out of here. It's nice, and it has some give to it, you know. It's about as hard as the McFarlane capes. Get this shit out of here, though. So what I did was I gave him a tattered cape with, I'm going to burn the edges so that it looks more like it's been dragging, you know. And then I also gave him a scarf, because as you see on the cape wraps around the front. So I was like, you know what? I'll give him the scarf and the cape. And I did up this scarf with one of my, it's probably the second time I put a wire in something so that we could get some movement from the scarf. I'm going to try to do the same thing with the cape itself, so that we can have, you know, some life to the cape. And when I put him in poses fighting the turtles, you can get that. Now, the only gripe I have with this toy, I have two gripes. One, you see this gapping right here? Whenever you turn his arms, that starts to happen. You can easily push them back in, and they close up. And because of the shoulder pads, they don't really pop out of place, but both sides do this shit, and I don't understand why. I might have to heat him up and then put him in cold water and see what happens. And then the other thing is he doesn't have any ankle movement, not even down here. So when you're standing him up, his feet look always kind of... That's what made me not want this figure initially. His feet are always apart like that, and I don't think that looks great. Now, when you're playing with him, though, you can get him into some cool poses. I'm going to take the cape off and show you him just with the scarf, like the way he appeared in many of the comics, especially the Secret History of the Foot Clan, where, oftentimes he would drop the cape and you would just see him in the, with the scarf on. But, like, look at that. Look at that. That doesn't look bad at all. So, yeah, I'm geeked about this. It looks good. Having him fight the turtles is going to be awesome. Me and my youngest son are going to be having fun with this because the older son is back to not playing with figures anymore. He's getting older. Apparently, he's too cool now for that. So I guess I'm back. I'm on my own, or I'm playing around with the older son. Usually, I'm playing by myself, and the younger and the older son want to get involved. So we'll see what happens. But this is a win, man. This is a win. And see, when I see these guys all together, I'm like, this is what I wanted. This is the feeling that I wanted to get from. This is the feeling I wanted to get from the NECA turtles, the Jim Lawson style turtles. And I don't know why somehow they weren't able to achieve the same feeling. They don't feel as fun, they don't feel as sturdy, and even with tweaks, they don't feel as, I don't know, it doesn't seem as complete as these guys feel. This here, even with their shortcomings, they feel very complete. They're different from what I've been getting before, and they have a vibe that's similar to my favorite version of the Turtles in figure form so far, and that's the 2010 Nickelodeon style ones, the concept art ones where they had 3 toes instead of 2. These guys right here. There's something about this line, and look at the toes, 3 toes instead of 2. These were based on early concept art, so these were the first ones to hit the market before they did the boxy, screen accurate versions. But this right here, the amount of weapons they came with, like this Leo came with the 2 swords, and then he came with like 1 long wakizashi type deal. I was like, dope. So I can have him 2-hand the wakizashi and have him single-hand the whatchamacallit, the 2 ninjaka. I also dug the wraps and stuff, because this is where a lot of these design elements started from. They came from this series, and they kind of incorporated that into this look. But when you look at the shell is a different shape. The shape of the head, instead of it being wide out this way, across the width-wise, it's skinnier width-wise and taller and longer. And they just kind of proportionately feel more. These feel like kids, whereas these feel like teens. And I really like that look. And these guys deceptively have a lot of articulation, even though they have wide-jointed hips, which is a sin. You should never do that. But there's so much they get right. And basically the fact that I can do things like you can take this off, and so you see you have a hole there in the belt and everything, so that Leo could hold his swords, because oftentimes there are scenes where he gets into the lair and he takes off the swords out of his belt. You see him walking with them, and he puts them down in front of him and he'll kneel down. You know what I mean? You could do that. Now this one, the way I customized his weapons, you can do that with him too. It's just a lot to like. There's so much to like with these guys. And, like I said, I think you'll be really, really, really surprised if you get these over the more expensive Eastman and Laird ones. Or, Mirage Studios Jim Lawson style ones. So if you see them, get them. And I mean, look at this Shredder. He's badass. Look at him. 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 Look. I mean, come on. That's a ninja for that ass. Look at him. Look at him. He's so badass. I mean, you'll have to do some customizing if you want one of these scarves, so you'll have to buy a scarf or something like that. But, I mean, just look at him. He just looks so hardcore. And if you haven't read that series, read that series, because this is probably the most hardcore Shredder they've ever written. The most hardcore Orokusaki they've ever written. Period. He's so hardcore. This motherfucker fought his way out of hell. And his whole arc is so satisfying, you know, and I don't even like that term. It's satisfying. You hear it so much, it feels like a buzzword, but it's satisfying because, you know, a lot of times with villains, they're in this day and age, they try really hard to redeem the villain. And the villain, you always have to feel sorry for the villain. You know what I'm saying? In this, you kind of feel sorry for him, but you clearly see where he went wrong. And it's plain and simple. There's no two ways about it. He went wrong. And they go in some really cool places, showing you how much this man will go through for power. So, yeah, you guys should check it out. It's worth it. But on to the next one. All right, let's talk about it. Jada Toys, Chun-Li, Thunder Thighs. This figure's dope. There's a lot of things that it does right that kind of harken back to the way that Soda Toys did things. And it also does some things that put it on par with the Figuarts, which is nice because, you know, there's no reason why Street Fighter figures have to be so fucking expensive. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me why they're so expensive. Street Fighter's been around for 30 fucking years. Shit, 40 years. It's going on 40. And we're still dealing with, you know, overpriced Street Fighter toys. The characters are well known in the fighting game and anime kind of circuit, but the reason why they're not well known worldwide, you know, like in the just pop culture circuit, as well as they should be, is because of accessibility. This is where you're supposed to make some kind of budget, you know, something affordable for people that's quality, and that's what they did here. Main things to take away from this are her tunic is very floppy. I don't know how long this will stand up to the test of time. It feels like it will, but it's very thin in comparison to what you normally get, but it's sturdy, you know? Like, when I pull on it, it doesn't stretch, but it gives in the right place, and it's tough as you get up closer to her waist. So when you're doing poses like what I have her doing right here, and this is why I chose this pose, so that you could see how much range of motion she has. Also, her torso, look at that. Her torso is perfect. I mean, I was just fucking impressed. This thing is this is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The sculpt looks like her from Street Fighter the movie, the animated movie from the 90s. All the colors are right. The details are right. There's not a shit ton of paint. Most of the paint is the yellow deco on the stripes, and you see it here on the suit. And then it's the deco for her eyes, her lips, and then the gold around her little buns. And at the ends of those tassels, it's very minute gold right there. I don't know if you can see that. But it's such a well done figure. It's ridiculous. Oh, and the silver on her weights on her hands. But she is so freaking posable. I mean, look at this. Amazing. Actually, let's do it this way. So she was like this. Then you put this foot up like that. And then we straighten this one. And then we put this fist by her face. You see how quickly I got to that position with her? Now, one of the things to look out for with her, with these toys, is their feet are very stiff. They do have ratchets in them so that you can get the, they hold whatever pose you put them in. But as you can see, am I doing that right? Yeah, there we go. Look at this shit, my friends. Look at this. Look at how beautiful that is. Just like the kick that she was given in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. When you hit hard kick up close to the opponent. Like, I mean, that's quality shit right there. You know? You have her kicking her opponent and her opponent being lifted off their feet like, ugh, but yeah, she's super posable, well detailed. She comes with a fireball effect, and she also comes with a like a multi-kick, lightning legs effect. This is kind of cool. It's kind of much, but like, say you're one of those people who, you can't imagine her kicking fast, so you need to make her actually like have an effect showing that she can kick fast. Then you could do this. I'm not going to put it on her foot, but those individual pieces actually fit on her foot. And you can make her throw the kicks and just put the extra blurred feet out near her feet to achieve the, several kicks. The lightning legs, as we used to call it back in the day. And it's all she wrote. But yeah, this figure's quality, man. If you haven't gotten on the Jada Toys figures, you should get on them. I think, if anything, definitely pre-order them. As soon as you see them go up, pre-order them, or watch Amazon and eBay and Big Bad Toy Store for them. Actually, stay away from eBay. Big Bad Toy Store for sure. But yeah, she's quality. Now, I would like to talk about McFarlane's stuff because the Aquaman figures are pretty dope. I've been waiting a very long time to have a fucking seahorse. I mean, this is fucking dope. Like, I kind of skipped out on the Mattel version that came with a shark, I think it was. He's riding on a big-ass megalodon or something like that. He's riding on something. And there was... what's the guy's name? The Willem Dafoe character was riding on a hammerhead shark. But I'm glad I waited, because this thing here is fucking dope. One of these days, I'm going to do a little video on all of them. Maybe I'll wait for the movie to come out, and then we'll talk about them all. But I don't know. I want to talk about all of these. I want to talk about the V-Toys monkey, the Monkey King. Wukong, I think is what they called him. But I'm going to save him for his own video because I'm really getting into this line. So what I'm going to talk about to end this is going to be... Let's talk about... I can't remember if I talked about that Apocalypse, but we're going to talk about the Silver Centurion. This was my favorite Iron Man suit from when I was a little kid, and this figure does not disappoint, and it's the perfect, figure to accompany Titanium Man, also by Marvel Select, and this set, these two together are phenomenal. Sorry for all this messing up that's going on, but man, phenomenal. I mean, you can already tell just by looking at him. He's got the stature. He's got all the detail. His backpack thing is kind of frustrating, though, because it likes to stay when it wants to, and it likes to come off when it wants to. It's supposed to open up into, like, wings. But I'm going to just close it up on there and let you see it. You see that? These actually can open up. You can take them off and position them like this so that you can have this kind of wing type setup. And the problem is they're not the deepest. Number one, the pegs aren't that long, so they don't necessarily hold perfectly. But see that? And that's just the tip of the iceberg for all the things he can do. He's got extra heads and extra hands. He poses really well. He's got really nice articulation. My only gripe with him, actually both of them, is stuff was like really frozen on these guys. Like his knees were really hard to move, like straightening them and then bending them just feel like the figure's going to break. Up in the hip area, it's very tight, but it's very old school, Marvel design, very how to draw comics the Marvel way, that old school John Byrne style. And I love it. It looks great. There's just something about the simplicity of these Iron Man suits that I miss because the ones from the Marvel, the MCU, are so overly complex that it just kind of gets annoying looking at all that shit, like there's just so much going on with the new ones all the time. And it's strange too because the most recognizable versions of the Iron Man suits aren't the ones that tend to get made for the movies. You have to just kind of keep an eye out, and then like the Hot Toys will make them, and a lot of third parties will make them, but you won't get them from. They won't show in the movie, and that's the part that I don't like. I wanted to see this in the movies. Now, it may have been one of the... I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've watched Iron Man 3, and there's not very many reasons to watch Iron Man 3. But one of the few reasons in that movie was the end battle, where Tony is jumping from suit to suit, and you get to see all the different versions of all the different suits and stuff. And there may have been a Silver Centurion that showed up there. I'm pretty sure there was. But there isn't too much about this guy that I don't like. One of my favorite features, all the alternate heads are fucking phenomenal. Like, look at this one. This is one of those ones that I was just like, what? You actually made this? I remember this panel from, I want to say it was Armor Wars, or the book that we all call Armor Wars, where he was flying around fighting all the guys that had his tech in the armors that they were using. This was pretty cool. Then there's this. He actually has... not too many of the Iron Man figures that have been released have ever had a fucking unibeam. Meanwhile, this one actually has a freaking unibeam. And I love it because I'm like, dude, he should have that unibeam. Looks good, right? And then, to top off everything... he also has, I swear, this is my favorite thing about this figure. Every time I see it, it just makes me happy because it reminds me of how simple things used to be. Check this out. This is, you could just hear, I am, where, I am Iron Man. I could just hear that cheesy ass theme song playing whenever I see this. Look at him in all of his alcoholic glory. This is my Tony Stark right here. And they kind of fixed up his haircut to make him look, he kind of looks like, from that angle, he kind of looks like Omni-Man. But they made him look a little bit more modern. Like the mullet doesn't look as out of place. But that's the Tony Stark I remember. That's the one who couldn't walk but wore that cool suit on the underside of his armor, and it helped him move and everything, and then he'd connect his armors to the special suit. And that was awesome. Like, for those of you who don't know, back in the day, Tony Stark was paraplegic because of his injuries sustained in Asia. He wasn't in the Middle East. A cool thing, too, is the Titanium Man also has an unmasked head. It's pretty awesome. But, yeah, this figure's dope, man. He has so many things. He's got his own... he's got fists that are shooting... I'm going to back him up a little bit so that we can talk about some of the accessories. Fists that shoot off, you know... I knew that was going to happen. I fucking knew that was going to happen. I was like, watch him fall down. Watch him fall. I'll just pretend that he presses a button and the helmet goes ching, 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 ching. So we won't put the helmet in his hands. So anyway, let's try that again. Don't you fucking fall down, Tony. Fists shooting off this cool laser. So cool. Look like Vulcans from like a shoot 'em up, a shmup. And he's got boot jet flames. He's got 2 of them, so he can fly. Then he's got repulsor blast hands. Now the only problem I have with these is in the package, and I need to just put them in hot water and fix that. But in the package, they warped. But as you can see, repulsor blasts. So you could probably... Actually, with these shoulder pads, they're heavy and hard. You can't put them in one of those cool, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom repulsor blast poses. And yeah. He's got gripping hands. Well, you know, like arthritis hands. Copper feel hands. You know, Tony is a womanizer. Then he has open repulsors hands. Or maybe these could be for flying. You could put them by his side, you know, like this. And have him flying. And I think that's it. You have the fist hands that he has on right now, so he can actually throw down with fools. It's kind of funny. In the old days, they fought like this. Their punches always looked like that. They were always like someone's blocking the other person's punch, getting ready to throw down with their own punch. You see the punch over here. It's just funny to me, you know? But it looks good. They look so cool going up against each other. The difference would be that in the comics, Iron Man would have been like in midair, like this. Let's see if I can get that off before anything goes crazy. So he put his foot here and put his arm there. See if we can twist him up a little bit more. He'd be like, or he'd be punching over what's his face's punch. I knew that was going to happen. Hey, that's what I was talking about with those parts. They don't like to stay on. So you would use, I could use a stand. Let's do that. Okay. See what I'm talking about? We move back a little bit. I just don't want to show you the stand, but you see what I'm saying? And you'd put like the hit impact right there and just have them kind of bam, throwing punches and stuff. And you can see the size difference. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but yeah, there you get a better idea. I love this stuff, man. The classic stuff when the designs were great. It's not just classic as a rule. You know, right now you have a lot of people when it comes to Marvel who is just like classic as a rule. And it's like, you know, sometimes the classic shit didn't look that good. So, you know, it's classic when it looks that good. But, yeah, I'm geeked to have these guys. They're quality. They look really good. They are sturdy figures. They may not be the most posable. Titanium Man is a lot more posable than I was expecting, but he's quality. I'm happy about that. I think that's going to wrap it up for this. I've waited so long to finish this, and I finally got to it. Editing this down is going to be the majority of my time, and then I'm going to try to get this up for you in a pretty timely manner. And then we're going to start working on the most fun and most unfun of 2023. Usually, you know, I do that in the top of the year, so we've got time. But I will be working on that. And then I'm going to be doing a video where I talk about V-Toys a lot. I want to talk about them. I am going to do an Aquaman video, and I'm going to talk about Motu. Mattel's been doing the Lord's work with the Motu lines, and I think they need more props. I mean, they've been dropping the ball overall as a company, but as, you know, with Motu, I'm waiting for my motherboard to come in the mail. Once she gets here, I will do the video about Motu. They need some love. The line is phenomenal. Say what you will about Revelation, love it or hate it. The line itself, I didn't give too much of a shit about the fact that we were getting a new cartoon other than the fact is that we would get new figures, because there's a lot of figures I missed out on that I was going to be given the opportunity to get due to a new cartoon coming about. So that's the main reason why I was geeked about the new cartoon. But yeah, I'm sorry this took so long. Lots of life happened. Lots of events happened, good and bad. Lots of setbacks. But you know how it is. You just roll with the punches and keep moving. There's going to be a lot more cool shit coming, both from, you know, the review side of things and from the production side of things with my toy lines and, you know, well, I should say Invincible Toys toy lines. And, you know, I've got some cool videos planned chronicling how we do what we do. So stay tuned for that. Sorry if I didn't get to what you wanted to see in this group. In the comments, though, let me know, you know, if there was something in here that you were really, really, really looking forward to me talking about. And possibly I might be able to kind of get that in possibly before the end of the year, if enough of you get in here and actually, you know, participate. So let me know in the comments which of the figures that I didn't go over and that I didn't say I have a video planned for, which I know a whole bunch of you are going to be in this area. Let me know, and I will possibly talk about the one with the most attention put on it. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. I am Strydent. You guys have been great, and peace outside.